So you mean to tell me after this movie being 19 years in the making, this is all that you could come up with? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Hey everyone, it's Sharronda from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Glass, which is directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And so before I get into this review, I'm so sorry that I've been MIA, but I have been sick, I've been so sick, and that I really need to get better because I leave for Sundance in like a few days, and so this cold cannot come with me. It's already cold enough in Park City, Utah, so I need to get through this. So I apologize for my absence, but I am catching up on all of my material. And so today I'm going to be talking about Glass. And so essentially this movie is a part of a trilogy. And so this trilogy started with 2000's Unbreakable, which starred Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, and then transitioned to the second film in 2016, which was Split, which starred James McAvoy. And so they're reprising their roles of Bruce Willis playing David Dunn, Elijah Price, that is played by Samuel L. Jackson, and James McAvoy is reprising his role as Kevin, Patricia, Hedwig. His character has DID. So there are multiple personalities that live inside of Kevin who are all trying to gain access to the light. So you never know which character that you're going to get. And so all of these three characters kind of come together in this movie as circumstances that lead all three of them to be kind of committed into this program, which is led by Dr. Staple, who is played by Sarah Paulson. And so essentially she is studying those human beings who feel as though they are superheroes. And so that's pretty much what I'm going to tell you about this film. I really don't want to give too much away. I apologize that this review is going to be vague because I want you to have the same experience that I had while watching this film. I will be putting up a spoiler review as soon as I get finished recording this and posting it. I will have the spoiler review up as fast as my computer can possibly download it. So it'll probably be an hour or two after I post this review. So as always, how I get into my reviews, I go into what I liked about the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, and then I tell you should you pay or wait for something better. So, what I liked about this film, I have to say one of my favorite characters in this film is James McAvoy. He did a fantastic job in 2016 Split, which was probably, I would have to say, my favorite out of the trilogy. And so he does nothing different here by commanding attention in this film. Probably one of the only reasons why I still slightly enjoyed this film is because of his portrayal, as he portrays Kevin kind of struggling with all of these different personalities that is inside of him. And so what I have to say is that his acting is superb. And not only just the acting of him trying to play multiple personalities all in one film, but the fact of the physicality that goes into it. How you can initially, which character he's shifting into because his mannerisms change. And for you to be playing, I think it's over 20 personalities that his character has. And I can tell just from the subtle movements if he's Patricia and how he kind of holds his clothes together, or when he's Hedwig, which was probably my favorite personality, which provides some of the comic relief in the film, and it definitely lands each time. I think that is a huge testament to who James McAvoy is as an actor, and I really don't understand why he wasn't nominated for Split, and I really hope that he gets nominated for Glass because I really, really, really enjoy his performance. Also, too, what I would have to say is I really enjoyed the relationship that they showed between Bruce Willis's character David and his son. And so I thought it was super cool that they actually had the young boy who played his son in Unbreakable is actually all grown up now, and he reprised his role as his son in Glass. And so I love to see that they kind of show this continuation of how David has been dealing with his powers, his abilities, and how him and his son have come together to use those abilities for good. And it kind of speaks to, when you see kind of just that unspoken conversation that him and his son have at the end of Unbreakable, because all his son wanted him to do was actually help save people, use his powers for good. So it's really great to see that is still happening, 19 years later, or whatever part of the universe that this takes place. And I think I would have to say, for the moments that there are action in this film, when these characters all kind of collide, I think that it was entertaining to watch. I would have to say that I wanted a little bit more of that, but I'm going to get into that as we talk about what I didn't like about this film. So, first and foremost, the pacing of this film like the first part of this film, kind of where you're watching the interactions between David and Kevin or the Beast or whomever, I don't want to give too much away. I was like, okay, y'all got me there. I'm ready to see this. This has me entertained. But then there's something that kind of shifts. And you'll know exactly the moment when the movie shifts. After you'll see it, you'll be like, okay, I know exactly when the movie took a turn, kind of for the worst, okay? And so what I would have to say is the pacing was really slow at that point because it took so long to kind of build up to this climactic ending that I was like struggling to stay awake. I was like massaging myself, like holding my eyes open, like, please, I cannot fall asleep watching this movie. I've been waiting forever to see this movie. And it makes it even worse when we get to the ending of this film. And the ending is just like, really? That was really lazy what you guys did. And so I think that this movie is going to be very divisive. I think that you're going to love it or hate it. And that was kind of the consensus when I walked out of the theater. So there were people who were like, I loved it. I really enjoyed this movie. And there was others who were just like, man, that ending just took me all the way down and I cannot deal with it. And I think for me, I was the latter. The ending really ruined it. I felt as though that for it to be so much buildup, for you to say that you had this idea in your mind for 19 years, you're trying to introduce kind of this comic book universe to regular films, and you just let us down because I just felt like the ending was cheap. I felt like there wasn't a lot of thought put into it, and there was really no explanation for why you would kind of go down this road. And so this is something that M. Night Shyamalan is known for, is that sometimes his films do not have a big payoff and it ends up letting the audience down. And I think that unfortunately this will have to be the same for Glass, and it's really unfortunate because he's really been building back up his reputation with his previous films and with The Visit, with Split, and it's just like we're back at the same M. Night Shyamalan that was like shunned so many years ago. And I think also too that will have to do with, I don't like necessarily how they kind of confine these characters into one place. They're kind of in this one place for the majority of the rest of the film. And I feel as though because there was no outside conflict to throw in there, it kind of just made it feel like, this could have been so much more, but you didn't give me anything. And I think also too, they didn't give the secondary characters much to do. And that would have to be because we're reprising bringing all these movies together. So they bring in Casey, who was kidnapped by Kevin, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. And I felt as though the issue that I had with her character is that her character really didn't mimic how I would see a victim, interacting with their abductor. And so kind of this interaction that she has between Kevin in the film, I was just like, that is not realistic to me. This woman was just kidnapped, traumatized. Like, that is not how somebody would act. And I really felt as though they just used that to bring her into the film. And I feel as though when you have characters, don't put them in the movie if you're not going to give them anything to do. And I feel as though that was the same for David's son. Towards the end of the film, he didn't have anything to do. And then also too with Elijah's mother, she didn't have anything to do with the film. And I felt like they were kind of just spectators watching the film, watching things go down as we in the audience were watching things go down as well. So I just thought that the secondary characters were poorly utilized. Sarah Paulson was poorly utilized, but it has to do with how her role ties into the ending of this film. And I just felt so let down. I was so let down. You know what? I said I'm not going to be petty, but the one thing that I do have to bring into mind, why we never said nothing to M. Night Shyamalan about Samuel L. Jackson's hair, okay? Because I wanted to be like, I was watching, I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry, please don't, I'm going to hell for this, but I was looking at him, I was like, what in the Frederick Douglass? He look like Frederick Douglass right now. I feel like I'm watching a Frederick Douglass biopic, but I know he's Elijah, and I know that his hair looked like that in Unbreakable, but it was just too much for me. I think it was the gray that really was bringing the Frederick Douglass, and then when he had it on, I was just like, he couldn't get no haircut. He can get no haircut in 2019. We couldn't do nothing different to his hair. But yeah, I'm sorry. It has nothing really to do with that. But that's pretty much how I felt about it. Also, too, if you guys are expecting a lot of these characters to have a ton of screen time, I need you to reset your expectations because that's not going to happen either. And I think this is common when you have movies that so many different big characters are sharing the screen, somebody's going to get left in the wayside. And I felt they could have did a better job of balancing all of the characters out to make sure that they get enough screen time that helps with the story as well. So those are my vague thoughts on Glass. I'm going to go ahead and do a spoiler review. I'm going to lay it out for y'all, let you know why I really feel like this movie is a wait. I'm gonna tell y'all to wait. I'm sorry. I would tell you go rewatch Unbreakable, go rewatch Split, but Glass just wasn't doing it for me. I wasn't feeling it. So those are my thoughts on Glass. As always, my name is Sharronda from Pay or Wait. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell, and I will see you soon.